What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today I'm going to talk about the state of the meta, shall we? So, first off, let's get into this, shall we? The state of the meta, we're going to look at a lot of the JP results here. So, we're going to take a look at what BT-13 is going to be like, and then we're going to move on to the start of 14 with aces and all the interactions and all the good stuff. So I think that's really important to take into account. So first off, let's take into the look of the meta of BT-13. As you can see, Shine Greymon topped, Royal Knights topped, Red Black Greymon top, Balthamon topped, then Beelzemon topped, Hunters, Red Hybrid Body. So major things we have to take away here though is that things aren't going to seem the same for us. I'm going to be honest with you, with their best, with the data we gain from them, they're all best of ones. So that means, as you know, how the Jessamon situation happened, Jessamon didn't do well over here because you had to do its OTK or overpowered shots more than once. Jessamon is not always consistent. It bricks, and once it bricks too much, it kind of gets out of here. So major things we have to take a look at. Let's take a look at a Shine list, shall we? You know, as we kind of know how Shine operates, if you don't know how it operates, its main focus points are using these Marcuses that basically, this Marcus here can become a tamer for one memory, well, a Digimon for one memory to be able to swing at your opponent. You use, in combination with this lineup, you get to climb up and basically for free evolution, go all the way up to your mega. For each Marcus, you kind of just make one. It's like almost costing one cost evolve. It says free, but let's be honest, it's a one cost evolve. The more times the more Marcuses you have, it's a one cost evolve at the end of the day. You can get all the way up and go into this weird combination of just having Marcuses swing at you before your Shine swings in and kind of just deals the final blow. Shine Greymon will give you the ability to give extra security checks to the Marcus, but with the new burst mode, you basically make it so that you can bounce a rested Marcus you already used for a swing as long as it survived, and then boom, replay it, and then all of a sudden now you have it in a way of basically swinging in again, getting that final punch in, and it's just all scary stuff. You know, there's ways of countering the deck, but with the new Marcus, it kind of stops the blockers from being able to stop happening. So that's a big problem in itself, because if you play a Marcus first and then you clear it, now your opponent doesn't really have anything to go on. And again, burst makes it so Marcus can rush. That's huge information. The deck has some very much big consistency. It is a combo piece reliant deck. If you don't see enough Marcuses by the time you want to push, you can lose the game. So it's a good, strong deck. Am I saying it's going to dominate? More than likely, because it's been hyped up to be one of the best decks. Give it time, people will get off it just because it might not suit their playstyle, but it'll trickle down and go from there. Another thing that we have to take into account is Royal Knights. Royal Knights seems to be like the second best deck, but from what I'm noticing through playtesting and everything like that, the deck is still doesn't draw enough, in my opinion, for it to justify its very much style of play. And at times you can give a lot of aggression decks a very high ceiling of memory. Going first, you have to play something. If you do not open your Magnamons here that basically come in for at least a cheaper cost, you can end up costing yourself a lot of memory to push to your opponent. Yes, there are times that you do, if the Sister Mons are there, yeah, great. Sister Mons can help out and be able to set up as well. The problem comes down to is if the Sister Mons, you don't see the Sister Mon or the Magnamon, because there is a high chance you will not see it, and you just have a very high top end, you're slamming down things for extreme amount of memory, and the deck really gets punished for that. Especially if your opponent just can get a strong lead because of this memory gain, Royal Knights can struggle from that. Yes, when the when Royal Knights gets going, it can be an unstoppable force. It just needs to keep going. It can run out of gas real quick in certain circumstances if you don't keep drawing the right cards. If you keep just drawing 12s, 14s, 12s, 10s, 11s, you don't draw your option, you don't draw Omni in time, you will lose that matchup before you even had a chance. So the deck has power. It is very powerful for a Mega Zoo style of play, but it definitely loses out on itself when it doesn't see the right low end in time, because you don't have a lot of cheap Royal Knights, and basically you need to use like Omekimons, Sistermons, stuff like that just to try to compensate, but that's just big information there. And then we have like Balfamon here. Basically the whole deck is about revolving around going into sleep, into rage, sleep, rage, just basically making it very difficult for your opponent to deal with. So stuff like this, and using the Gazomon, these robotic Digimon here that aren't really Digimon, they're kind of just robots. They combo in with his trainer and tamer, but with this combination, the deck has a lot of potential. I see a lot of purple players go into this deck because it's actually one of the stronger ones, especially with Beelzemon being restricted down its Impmon, and that's where a lot of the data came from originally, was that Beelzemon was at full power, and now he's kind of just fell off to the wayside a little bit just because of that restriction happened through this format. And then, you do have options like Red Hybrid and Mirage Galga. I think Mirage Galga will actually see some extreme play just because draw engines and stuff like that are really important. And to be honest with you, it doesn't have really bad matchups. It just loses to itself. Like, once it gets this is what makes the deck go crazy, especially having that ability to search the top two and get a tamer, or you get the Digimon. That's not bad, but that's a while off. Till then, we're kind of using Blue Mem Boost until then, just because you kind of need it. But stuff like this is very important to take into account, is that the deck is strong. No matter what's going to happen here, being able to, as long as you can get your opponent's hand up, you can basically keep swinging every time they gain a card, and you get to unsuspend and then force them to draw another card. You can keep making that 9 threshold go down to 8, force them to draw again, then swing again, and it's just basically OTK central. Major issues with both Shine and with Mirage is that it kind of does lose to Setcon. Anything that's heavy Setcon focus really can deal some major damage. But then you do also have, I feel like Alphamon's going to definitely pop back up hardcore and just be really strong all in all. I think Alphamon, if people fan favorite Alphamon, especially a lot of the Alpha players that missed their Alphamon deck, definitely are going to come out of the woodworks for this deck, and I really don't see any issues with it. Especially if you tech in Kongu for the Shine matchup. Yeah, for the Shine matchup, you'll actually be really solid. I think the deck has a lot of potential. There's no issues on that. I think you guys really don't sleep on Alphamon. Alphamon can OTK like crazy, and it just really is going to do what it needs to do at the end of the day. Has a lot of potential. The new cards are great synergistics. Just the new Doro Gray alone basically fixed a little bit of the issues that you would run into with this deck, and now it's really solid, actually. I have no objections on this. And, go with what your gut feels like, but I think all these decks versions are really solid. I think you have a lot of potentials. You can definitely apply a lot of pressure and just end up dealing with your opponent very easily. Even going into SetCon, if I can find one. Set security control here. Let's take a look. Most of them went into this new style of play, where I think it's just a little bit of people don't like playing SetCon, to be honest with you. this is basically becomes a little bit of a dead card here, X program. If you have Alphamon in your format, you're really struggling there. But being able to minusing DPs and stuff like that, you know, all this stuff is really solid, to be honest with you. You know, you have ways of dealing with your opponent, and it's just solid of a deck. I mean, Omnimon Zawarts plus, you know, Alter B is really scary. You know, all this stuff, even Seraphimon. The only deck it really fears is Royal Knights, but if Royal Knights isn't heavy in the format, this deck will do better. So, to be honest with you, because Mirage and Shine both don't have answers to this deck, you can easily deck them out and deal with their board state very easily just because of how powerful your deck can be. I think this is very vital to take into account because all your stuff is just going to be a threat and a half to deal with. I mean, Surprise Digimon are really scary as always. Death Hex is scary. You know, you have, you know, our good boy here, Shadow Seraphe, being able to de-digivolve your opponent's Digimon, and it keeps going. You know, all this stuff does add up. And taking a look at that, it's pretty decent to say that you have a lot of potential here. And I think we're going to see a very high surgence of SetCon if there is not a high surgeon of Royal Knights. If Royal Knights kind of just falls to the wayside and it's Mirage and Shine, expect SetCon to climb up with them. If Royal Knights kind of seems to find some magic way of working, you can bet your bottom dollar that, hey, SetCon's just gonna disappear off the face of the earth with that. But that's just if Royal Knights dominates over both Mirage and Shine. But it really has to do that for that meta to really justify. So just keep that in mind. I don't think Royal Knights will do much crazy shenanigans, especially even looking at it going into BT-14. I think Royal Knights not even here. Yeah, I don't see Royal Knights. If you guys see Royal Knights, tell me. Oh, right here for 2. People got off that quick. The decks just became too fast with the mem boost. So we're looking at BT-14 with the mem boost. And we do have mulligans in the game, so that does change up a little bit of data here. But let's see, where's the list with some trainers? Trainers, I mean, not mem boost. I'm sorry. So in trainings here, let's take a look. I mean, the deck's half yellow, right? You can almost hit everything if you use the yellow one. Yeah. So taking into account of that, I mean, I would have went with the red in trainings. Oh, they want to make sure they get ruin mode. Okay. I kind of see where they're coming from, but most of the deck is yellow-red. You could have just went with red in training and just whiffed here instead of, you know, possibly whiffing on... No, they don't play Agumon X, so basically they're guaranteed hitting every target. Okay, so I see why they're playing that. Okay, not bad. Not a bad choice there. But definitely the in-trainings, the training programs and stuff like that, just really sped up the format pretty quickly. I mean, even taking that in the account, Mirage, that's why Mirage started dominating once the trainings came out. And just sped up the deck so quickly. You know, Green also sped up too because of the in-trainings, and they got fed well with that. You know, being able to reduce and search only the top 2 is huge. And then you have like a deck like SOC, which is basically the police deck. Well, no, not the police deck. That is Commandramon. Let's take a look at that in the JP meta. It's doing really well, even though it's not a full complete deck of full archetypal. Being able to basically keep an go until you're 3 on your opponent's turn and you have to pass at that point. I mean, crazy enough, that's just how that's going to go. I think this is really solid here. I think the deck has a lot of potential. There's no issues with that. And I think it's going to do quite well when it comes over here. Just being able to spit out 2 Black Gatos just for that game scenario can get really scary, and the extension in plays. But what we have to take a look into is yellow actually got really good support here. I mean, we have D Brigade and stuff like that, but let's take a look at Pata. Patamon basically made yellow relevant again. Completely relevant. Yellow decks can play anything it wants now because it basically has a free skip up climb. And it's getting scary that we're getting to a point where we have free evolves chances here, just because at the end of the day, I know it's vaccine restricted and they tried to restrict it, but PATA is going to cause more issue going forwards, and I know this for a fact just because of how it's going to play out. But yes, we have the aces and stuff like that. Aces definitely interaction is very vital, especially with how fast the speed of the game is going. But if you can get your opponent's threats off the board, it becomes less and less scary. But all in all, I think the deck is fine. There's no issues here. And, well, besides the PATA, I think having yellow be its own deck again is vital. I think having yellow be its own thing besides yellow hybrid is really solid. I think being able to splash in Contorus, getting themes like that definitely helps out. You have like yellow hybrid still, but you know, like Setcon definitely came back a little bit using the new lineup here. Let's talk about it. Even Setcon coming back from the woodworks is very interesting, but it uses both Magnamons, Magnamon Ace and Magna, but it also uses the bunny, so not terrible. I think we have a lot of potential, and I have no objections here. I hope for the best for the formats, and I think we are getting to a point where we're going to go a lot faster. So less and less going into time is going to happen, and I'm going to be happy for that. But we'll see how the meta shakes up. Things that I would take away from here is that I'm nervous for Shine. I don't know how long it has. I think it's on borrowed time. And it's not because I think it's an overpowered deck. I haven't had enough experience against it and playing with it yet to just basically say how I feel about it. But the deck is good. It is a very solid tier 1 deck. Is it the dominating force? No, I don't think that's how that's going to be. But there's a lot of potentials and a lot of chances here. But guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace!